One of God's finest creations is the Bluff, on which is located the present Clinton Community College. It pleases me on our little corner to be present here today on a beautiful sunny day on the 10th day of September 1999 to give you a little history and a little past and a little present of this wonderful institution. We've talked about it so many times on the program. Today is the day we really get into it. We've talked about how important it is for technology and the training of wonderful engineering students and people who have technology training in the North Country for the future of jobs. We've talked a little bit about the fantastic history, but I wonder how many of our viewers here in Northern New York know how it really began. Before we finish the day, we'll talk with the new president of Clinton Community College. We'll talk with Todd Roenbeck, who is the athletic director here at the William H. Florence Health, Physical Education and Recreation Center, which was a great plus for this campus when it was built. We'll talk to Eileen Walker, who's going to show us around. We'll talk to some other people who are very important in this campus on the Bluff, and we'll talk about how this is such a beautiful spot to visit, to feel the history, and to get an education. Calvin was kind enough to find some great information from a Shaughnessy book that we did before talking about the D&H Railroad to take some pictures off and give us a little background. I'm going to read this portion, then I'm going to try to hold it up in the beautiful breeze which always blows on the Bluff and give you an idea what it looked like way back when, 109 years ago. May I begin? The Champlain Hotel at Bluff Point was built in 1890 with D&H aid. As President Oliphant hoped to promote passenger traffic on the New York and Canada. It became the finest establishment in the Champlain Valley. An army of waiters manned the great dining room, and music of the masters pervaded the lobby. President McKinley used the hotel as his summer White House during 1897. This building burned on May 25, 1910, but by then the D&H owned it outright and quickly replaced the old structure with a new one that was ready for the 1911 guests. A man by the name of Stoddard took many photographs of the Adirondack region, and these photographs are his. And if I can hold it steady enough, Calvin will focus in on this page so you too can get an idea of the flavor of the North Country history. And I'm going to flip the page and we'll get another slice of history from Clinton Community College, Bellarmine College, and its wonderful history as the Hotel Champlain. It says here in August 1897, President McKinley rode the 3-foot gauge Chateauguay Railroad from Summer White House at Champlain Hotel in Saranac Lake, where we see him, and you will soon, holding his top hat at the rear platform of the coach at Saranac Lake. That's very important because you know that they've refurbished the Saranac Lake train station and opened it up again at the cost of a great deal of money and a lot of effort by the citizens in that area. It's quite beautiful, so you can go and see what that looks like today. He goes on to say, below him on the step is portly Vice President Garrett A. Hobart, Mrs. Hobart with the flowers, and Mrs. McKinley stand behind the president, and behind them is a tall railroad president, Smith M. Weed. Does that sound familiar to people here in the North Country in Plattsburgh? The famous and then infamous Smith-Weed Bridge. Can we catch a picture of that? Actually, I'm not sure if Teddy Roosevelt spent some time here, but Calvin looks a great deal like him. Maybe I can grab the camera and show you. Oh boy. Let me flip on to the next page and give you another little piece of history. It says underneath, rebuilt in 1911. The new Fort William Henry Hotel, overlooking the, overlooking the south end of Lake George above, which you won't see very much of in this picture, was opened in the summer of 1911, talks about the hotel, and saying that it ranked among the finest resort hotels in the Adirondacks, along with the picture you will see of the Champlain Hotel, which was located high above the picturesque shore of the big lake just south of Plattsburgh. A couple in the attire of the period enjoy the putting green in front of the new fireproof structure. It was the scene of many conventions. And this, it says, was taken from 2 original glass plates. Now, take a look at this picture, and then remember in your eye what the current structure looks like and compare. Because we're talking a long time ago in 1911. Oh, yes, folks, there's more. We plan to be here for a while today. We have here Wednesday, July 7th, 1909, Plattsburgh, New York. And a picture with a title beneath it that says Indian War Canoes. It has to do with the tercentenary in 1909, and it says the presidential party, including President Taft, Vice President Sherman, Speaker Cannon, members of the cabinet, and guests from France, Great Britain, and Canada will arrive early in the day and take quarters at, you got it, Hotel Champlain. Governor Charles E. Hughes of New York, Governor George H. Prouty of Vermont, accompanied by their staffs, the members of the Lake Champlain Tercentenary Commissions, and the members of the New York Legislature will be quartered at Hotel Champlain. The literary exercises of the day will include an address by Senator Elihu Root and a poem by a distinguished poet. The Indian pageants and the drama of Hiawatha will be repeated here both afternoon and evening, and the pyrotechnic display will be the most lavish ever seen in this northern section. Don't you wish we had movies? President Taft will visit the Champlain Assembly at an hour to be announced later. For information as to the local program and accommodations, apply to W.L. Patterson and Mark S. Watson, Plattsburgh, New York. This is a tiny picture beneath, but take a look at it and you will see the war canoes on Lake Champlain all those years ago. I should let our viewers know also that we are recording this during Battle of Plattsburgh week, with the weekend activities gearing up to a fever pitch on September 11th, the day of the actual Battle of Plattsburgh. And there were a lot of connections with all these areas around the Lake Champlain region to the Battle of Plattsburgh. I also have in my hand something that Calvin has talked about, a movie that I haven't seen, but it dates back, if I remember correctly, to 1924, and it's called Janice Meredith, featuring Marion Davis, another Harrison Ford, and W.C. Fields. Oh, yes. How fortuitous. They had an all-star cast in this spectacular story set during the American Revolution, and all or part of this movie was shot right here on the bluff overlooking Lake Champlain. Not the only movie set in this region over the years. There was a silent film that you hear the moderators talk about on your trip through Ausable Chasm, not too far from here, where they dove a horse off a cliff and somehow managed to survive in some wild chase scene about 1919. I have no idea what that was all about, but I hope to see this movie, and Calvin can talk more about it at some other point if you'd like to discuss it with him. We're going to go inside this wonderful facility, and we're going to interview some people. We're going to talk about how this place has grown over the years from its humble beginnings. And we haven't mentioned anything about Bellarmine College, but that's what it was when I first moved to town a long time ago. You're about to get a history lesson along with me, Gordy Little, and our wonderful videographer, Calvin Castine, who pushes those buttons in such an expert way. I wish you could be with us actually here on this beautiful Thursday afternoon in bright sunshine, about 85 degrees, almost more. I said almost more than we deserve for a September, but it's a great day on the outside and on the inside at Clinton Community College. And we're inside in the boardroom on the second floor of Clinton Community College, where I have spent some very interesting mornings about half awake as a member of the Clinton Community College Foundation, which does so much to help students who attend this prestigious campus on the Bluff. And today, we're going to continue our program with a brand new president, Dr. Therese Bushner. How are you?
I am just fine, thank you. Great to be here.
We didn't even get a chance to shake hands during that last session here, but you had to kind of hit the sidewalk running when you came here. So much has been happening on this campus over the last years.
Yes, with the new building and other programs under development and a student body that continues to look to us for quality training at affordable prices and this beautiful setting, which you and your viewers are very much familiar with. A lot going on. It's a great place to work and to be and to study.
I started this program by saying this is one of God's greatest creations, this bluff. I never fail to be inspired when I drive up here. I love to walk around. I have attended many concerts on this bluff, you know, eating my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as I look over Lake Champlain and imagine I'm rich and famous. And I like to place myself in some era gone by. And this place is not only rich in beauty today, but it's rich in its history.
Well, this is the former Hotel Champlain, as many of your viewers are aware, and certainly you're right, the setting is absolutely magnificent, and as the students and the staff and the faculty walk through these halls, you could almost sense the history here. Somehow I find it very motivating for our whole campus community to be in a place where other great people have been throughout history, and the setting is just wonderful for academics, or I think some might think it's a great place to have Tai Chi on the lawn. It's so inspiring. It's so inspiring.
I wonder if there are any little spirits that wander these halls at night. So many people, the rich and famous, and people of high and low stature have been here. Eileen Walker's over here. Hi, Eileen.
This was the summer White House for President McKinley.
As we mentioned earlier in our program, and that makes it neat all by itself, I imagine his autograph is somewhere in this building. I wouldn't be surprised. I know we had a couple photographs that Calvin found.
Yeah, there's some photographs right in this room. Maybe we can zoom in on one of them in a little while.
He can just look at them as we chat.
Oh, wonderful.
Dr. Bushner, I want to know why Clinton Community College for you. What little twist of fate brings you here? And by the way, welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here. It's almost a dream come true. When I was looking at presidencies and came to visit the campus and meet the people, the setting just mesmerized me. In fact, I made it clear to some of my colleagues. I said, now let me understand this. You pay the president to work here, or does the president pay you? Of course, I'll deny saying that to my board of trustees, but it really is a beautiful place. And I wanted to be at a college small enough where it could be a community that folks know each other and work together, and I could be in touch with faculty and students, and a place where I could make a difference, where there's some growth, some challenge, some variety, serving the business community and also preparing students for transfer. And I'm an Easterner at heart. I grew up in Eastern Pennsylvania, Allentown, Pennsylvania, to be precise. So being in New York is close to home. Also, I love the ocean, so being closer to the Atlantic Ocean. Formerly, I was in the Midwest, in Milwaukee, in Detroit, in Cleveland, and also a few other places. But I really like being here, and it feels like home. Folks are very hospitable, I'm finding. Plattsburgh is an easy place to settle in.
We like to think that's
yes,
true.
it is a very comfortable place. So
Very often, and Calvin and I have spent a great deal of time promoting this area. I was in the radio business for a long time promoting this area. And we have a nebulous phrase called the quality of life that we've used on a lot of special occasions, when we tried to save our Plattsburgh Air Force Base. But we've talked about it because it is a special place. The longer you're here, the more you realize that it's the perfect size place, so you can make a difference, and you already have in your short tenure.
Oh, well, thank you. That's good to hear. I've certainly tried to get out in the community because that's what the college is, a resource for the community. And I think you're right about the area. We're close to the major city, Montreal. We have the beautiful water in our backyard. Well, not literally, although I suppose sometimes we do.
Sometimes it gets pretty close to our backyard.
But maybe not so much this summer. And of course, we're really not that far from other major cities in New England, and of course, New York City is a train ride away. So I think you have the best of a small town where things can happen. Students can start their education in an environment that is nurturing and supportive before they decide perhaps to go to the university. And with the wonderful businesses here, some major companies, as well as the development at the air base, I think it's an exciting place to be for all those reasons.
At this precise time and place, we are on the cusp of something amazing. A technological revolution is happening around us here in the North Country, trying to replace that one of the oldest active military installations in the nation with businesses, and then we have to train those kids. And I was in on watching the development of this great new technology center on this campus. And I might say to our viewers who haven't visited the Bluff, they ought to do it. See how well it fits in and then take a tour, because that is I mean, it was tough to get that thing built. There were setbacks, and as there always are when you're trying to do something of that major size, but look at it now.
Oh, it's
and look at the first class we turned out, and look at the second class.
It's so exciting. We have so many specialized classrooms. We have wonderful faculty who can work closely with students. So there's a variety of programs and courses that for which we use that building. And you're right, the viewers should certainly stop by if they haven't. This is their college, and they would be pleased to see what that building looks like and what the classrooms are all about.
You know, the community college idea is really coming of age. Don't you feel that? I have, since I've watched this school from the very beginning. Before we ever started the camera, the first thing we mentioned when we walked in the room and met you, how many of Calvin's kids and mine have been here, either to take one semester or 4 semesters, or who graduated from here and are proud to say, you know, like my daughter in Long Island, proud to say she got her nursing degree at Clinton Community College. You know, you talk about some of the stalwarts like Agnes Pearl and the others, right, Eileen?
My nephew Sean graduated from Clinton Community College. In fact, he was in the first graduating class of the electronics technology program. He's now in Utica, Rome. He's going on to get his 4-year degree. He sends me emails all the time telling me how much money he's going to make when he gets out of here. But you were talking earlier about concerts on the Bluff this summer. I also run the concerts on the Bluff. And during one of the concerts this summer, there was one of the students that graduated with Sean, and I spoke to him, and he tells me he's going to be making $50,000 this year. $50,000 with a 2-year degree from Clinton Community College. I just think that's incredible. And I don't understand why there aren't more kids in this program right now. They need to get up here and get some information about it, because there are jobs, and there are good jobs right here in this community. And it's amazing.
It's truly
It's just
amazing. My daughter Barbie tells me all the time that she makes a lot more money than I do as a nurse on Long Island. You know, it's $35 an hour. She has 2 kids, and she works 2 24-hour days, 2 12-hour days for a 24-hour week. At $35 an hour, gets to spend 5 other days with her 2 kids and her family, and she owes it all to the nursing program here at Clinton Community.
And I do think folks out there who, even if they're not right out of high school and they've been away from school for a while, should consider what you're saying, because we can help them take courses on a part-time basis. So often folks will say to me, well, I'm 25 years old, I'm 30 years old. If I go back to college, I'll be 30, 35 in 5 years. And I say, well, you'll be that anyway. You might as well go back, start working on associate, go back for your bachelor's. You know, take the first step, get the information, consider the courses in the next term that are offered. What is it you like to do? What are your skills? And I think if you're hesitant, don't be. If there's a place you can go to try to see if you can get a start on your academics or restart your academics, this is an ideal situation. It really is something to be considered, and I'd encourage all your viewers to think about it.
You know, education is power. How many times a day do I say that to people who are victims of crime? I work as a victims advocate in the probation department with crime victims. It's a 2nd or 3rd or 4th career for me, but it's very enriching, and it helps people to regain self-respect, to take some courses at Clinton Community College. And in the last 2 years since I've held that position, I can't tell you how many people have matriculated here because I said, go and do it. And the cost of an education here on this campus, with the possibility for all kinds of help with books and scholarships, is amazing. The best bargain in the world.
It's a real investment when you look at it, as you say, in terms of your personal growth, but also your professional growth, to come here and pay a reasonable tuition and fee, and to work toward a degree, or even, as you said, just to be a more fully functioning citizen. I don't know how we read the paper and listen to the news without having some economics background. Certainly in the political life, it's good for us to know what the issues are and to think through some of those if we have to vote on them. Writing, speaking, those are all skills, as I'm sure you've learned in the different things you've done, are helpful no matter what kinds of opportunities you carve out for yourself. But the self-respect is important too. I think if you take a psychology course, you learn more about relationships. You tend to view yourself as wanting a healthy relationship, as trying to work toward the best for your children and how you raise them. So much of that can be learned here, even in the first 2 years of a college education.
Regardless of what people do after they finish that 2 years successfully, they can move right down the street and continue their 4-year education locally because of the wonderful relationship we have between the two campuses.
Yes, we do. We're very proud of our partnership with SUNY Plattsburgh. We have embarked on dual admission programs to make it easier and to remind ourselves that the first 2 years of a 4-year degree begins at a community college. So the Intro to Psychology course here is very similar to what you would be taking at the university. So you can start here, take your 2 years there. It's wonderful our residents have that opportunity. That's just one more thing when you were speaking earlier about all that this area has to offer. Not every community has a community college and a 4-year university, so we are fortunate.
I promise you no other community has a campus like this. Eileen, you've been here a while. How long have you been on this campus?
I've been here 5 years now. Yeah.
Come on.
When you're having fun.
She's just a child. We were talking about the Angel Days at Plattsburgh State, which wasn't yesterday or the day before. It's a good experience. What's your title here?
I'm College Relations Officer. I handle all the advertising, public relations, publications, a little bit of everything. College Relations has a very broad spectrum of duties.
It's hard to know when you're talking about such a great place. It's hard to know how to cram that into a sentence or a paragraph. Every picture on this campus would take a page, but you have to do that. You try to present it. You told me you have a new video.
Yes, we just produced a new video of the new Science and Technology building. Excuse me, let me go back and call that Art, Science, and Technology building, because the third floor of the new facility is our brand new art studios, and they're incredible. State-of-the-art photography studios to the likes that nobody has seen in the area. Fabulous studios. I'm an artist myself, so I can speak for them firsthand. I think when you look at this video, you're going to really enjoy it.
Are you going to set your own little studio up in a corner up there?
I would like to. I've thought about that.
Oh, see, now I'll know where to find her when I can't find
Look
her.
what I have
She'll be
to
in her
paint,
little
though,
corner.
you know.
She'll be. That's right. She'll be painting the lake.
This is a lady of many talents over here, and she's much too humble about that and much too modest. But I know it's fun for you to talk to people. You know, in my own life, I love to talk to people in person and on the phone about this North Country in general and about this campus. And I'm not just stroking both of you, because Calvin will attest to the fact that I've mentioned Clinton Community College thousands of times as we go and interview other people around the North Country, because it's touched so many lives in so many ways.
It really has. I think there's so many stories, as you're saying, that every student here has a different perspective, has different challenges, different goals, but somehow we're able to give them that kind of environment that helps them not only with knowledge but with self-esteem self-esteem, self-concept issues. They feel if they can do well here, and they can. We have wonderful faculty. We have support systems like Skills Center. Perhaps you took algebra 20 years and you don't remember how to solve for X. Well, we have a center that can help you remember how to do that. And certainly Eileen's enthusiasm is just indicative of many staff members who have been here many years and feel as you do. It's such a wonderful part to make your contribution.
You know, I use the word passion because if we didn't have passion for what we do, what fun would life be? If we didn't have passion for living, what fun would life be? You and I mentioned as we walked up the hall into this wonderful boardroom, how many changes have taken place on this campus just in your 5 years, not to mention all the years that I've been in this community. It's mind-boggling in the last 3 or 4 years how much has happened.
I've worked for 3 different presidents in my short time period. And it's amazing,
You're going to do it till you get it right, aren't you?
I finally got a woman, though. I'm really happy to see that. Yeah. But
A lot of change.
a lot of changes. We have to. You know, the times changed, and you were talking about the age of technology changing business. Well, it's changing education, and it's changing the way we educate, the way we do things. It costs a lot of money to put whole new computer systems in, and that's what we've been doing. And we have to. We have to. It's part of growing, and it's for the community. So.
Well, as we mentioned before, we're trying to replace one thing with lots of others in this area, and the age of technology is here, and the business leaders come in, and they look over the area and they say, can you train the folks we need? And the answer now is yes, we can.
Absolutely. One of the strong points of a community college is its responsiveness, its dynamic nature. It's relatively easy for us, and it's part of our mission to go out, help assess needs, and then help to meet them, because many jobs require technical skill below the level of a bachelor's degree. So that means associate degree or even a shorter program. We have some students who don't graduate not because they necessarily don't want to, but because they get good jobs just short of completing their degree. So they're off making money, and we're chasing after them in the mail with their diploma if they're close to it and want to make up the last couple credits. They come back, but so often they go off to jobs before they actually finish all their academic requirements. And hey, that's a success for them and for us.
It's always a pleasure to come up here and talk to the people. It's really a kick for me to be a part of this foundation, which is another unit. Eileen, you're very familiar with this foundation, which from the very beginning has worked so hard to do so many things, not to mention the fact that it gave a pretty good chunk of money for that building right across the parking lot.
That's right. That's correct. That's perfect. It's, I believe they funded the $100,000 for the theater.
That is correct. $100,000, and that's very nice. But the foundation, just to let our people know, and we hope maybe to catch Michael in the hallway, Mike Legree, who's the executive director, the foundation has had some pretty amazing people from the business community and the community in general who come up here and help to make some decisions about how to raise money for these kids. Because, you know, this isn't the richest county in the entire face of the earth, but it doesn't mean that these people shouldn't have an opportunity like Clinton Community College. And I've seen these young people who get just a book scholarship, who are grateful as long as they live for that opportunity. Single mothers, people who want to get back into the workforce and have no way of doing it without an education come here, and as we mentioned before, by giving them a little scholarship, giving them an opportunity to continue, we have empowered them in ways that very few other people could do.
You know, people don't set their sights high enough. They really don't. I think we tend to sell ourselves short, and to avoid that, we do need to think of the possibilities. If we're going to be working 20, 30, 40, 50 years, if we're not a Rockefeller or a Kennedy or someone who has those kinds of resources, we should think about what is it that would make us want to go to work every day, and how do I get from here to there? And you're right, those book scholarships help a good deal, because textbooks can be expensive, and yet they are also investments in the skill and the training that a person needs to go on. And as I mentioned earlier, if a person isn't exactly sure what they want to do, well, there's lots of adults who are still trying to figure out what they want to do when they grow up. And as you have mentioned, we evolve into a number of things. So wherever you are, indulge in a little dreaming yourself, and then come back here and see if we can help you through a book scholarship. Certainly check into financial aid. You never know if you're going to qualify or not until you check into it, and see what we can work out with you. Start now to make some steps toward making it happen for yourself. In fact, it's a good example for parents to be in class with their children. And sometimes we have that where we have sons and daughters, and mothers, fathers, uncles, spouses. It's
Often.
great.
We
Yes,
have
it's
that
great.
often.
I came and talked to a class entitled Women in the Judicial System last year that was being taught by our late probation director. I say late, not that she's expired. She's gone into bigger and better things with New York State. Sarah Fastold, who taught the course here, and I came to talk to the course. And it's amazing. Older people and younger people side by side getting an education. I was so psyched when I left. I didn't come down and touch the ground for a week and a half.
It is so inspiring because you have the freshness and the perspective of youth, and you have folks who've had some experience and some context of life that they bring to discussion. And I know, having been in the classroom, there are times when the class goes so beautifully because the discussion is so charged, and you get folks to open up, and they all contribute what only they can contribute, because those kinds of perspectives are very different, but very helpful in so many of the disciplines. So you're absolutely right. That mix of older students and younger students is you can't ask for a better setting for learning to occur.
It's amazing. And the relative class size is very important. The relationship between the number of students and the people who teach the classes. It's sometimes really intimate, and for that reason, what a great way to learn.
Very many of our classes have fewer than 20 students, so when you think about it, that is wonderful for discussion, or if you don't feel that you'd want to be in a large lecture hall, you'd rather be, so, and so it depends on what kind of student you are, what kind of person you are. Certainly, regardless of class size, you should always feel free to talk to professors if you have problems or concerns. The last thing you want to do is let your concerns build up. If you don't understand something in your math class, you don't want to wait till midterm and then decide to try to get it all figured out. You want to keep up with assignments, organize your time well. But I think this is the environment that could certainly help you do that.
Yeah, as I said, we're big promoters, and in my own family and others, the first thing a kid wants to do when he or she graduates from high school is get out of town. Well, we've so many times counseled people, stay here. Get your feet wet by just taking that little step into the water and see what comes up, see what floats.
Because you certainly are not the worst for it. So you start here, you get good grades, and grades can be important when you're going on to a four-year university and you want to keep a scholarship or get a scholarship. So here you have the learning. You can devote yourself to academics. Eileen and I have talked about how much some of our students save by living at home, coming to class here. You hear some students complaining about wishing they had money for a stereo system or whatever, and she and I figured out that if you stay your first 2 years at a community college while living at home, save a few pennies from the tuition differential and the residence differential, you have a couple dollars to buy some clothes or a stereo or things like that.
Then there's always a person like my granddaughter Kelly, who lives in Saranac Lake, and I live in Morrisonville, who said, Papa and Grandma, I could live with you and go to Clinton Community College. And guess what she did?
Oh,
And it was a wonderful experience to us to get to know our granddaughter better for that semester, and we just had a great time watching her grow as a person. But that's only one of many. We had a lot of kids, so a lot of kids have spent time here at Clinton Community College. What amazes me more than anything about this place? How it can fiscally survive. It's something that people grind their teeth about and burn midnight oil about, a lot behind the scenes. We're painting a beautiful, glowing picture about this campus, but there's a lot of hard work that it takes to keep a facility like this going and to cover this kind of expansion that we're in the middle of.
It really does, and it's a challenge in which we all participate. We try to use resources well because we want to continue to serve the community well. Certainly, as a president, I'd be remiss in not letting your viewers know that their contributions to the foundation are always welcome. Oh, I had to throw that in there, little commercial there. Presidents do that at every chance. But really, we need to keep our academic offerings strong, use our state and county dollars well, and do what we can to make the needs of the community met by what the college can offer. You can't do everything for everyone all the time, but you probably should do your best to carve out where you can best match the needs and the interests, what the college has, what the community needs. And then you have alumni and others who go out there, and they're really your best advertisement for keeping the institution going.
Absolutely
I need
true.
to jump in on this one here. I can say that, yes, I'm really shy, can't you tell? I can say that probably the people that do my job at a larger university, I won't mention any names, there are probably about 6 people to 1 over in my department here. And, you know, we are a real people person college. It's the people that really do make the difference here, and we do a lot of different things. We have to, because we have to be diversified, we have to be really flexible. If you take a look at our adjunct faculty, our part-time faculty, it's people from the community. It's people that everybody knows, local bankers that you might be your banker. We're teaching a banking course. You know, we have people that are really involved in this school, and they give to it not for the money, but because they really care. It's a really special place
You know,
here.
it's very hard to explain to some people how important we feel it is to give back to this community. This is such an enriching place, and the longer you hear, the more you'll realize how much people give to each other. I talked about, you know, and I don't want to digress too much, but during that long career of mine in the radio business, I was often called upon to help people and with serious physical needs. One way or another, people needed something, and I never had to talk too long to get that need filled. And it's something that just can't be done in other places. So that's why people like Eileen stay around here. That's why people like Michael Agree graduated from this facility a long time ago, came back to do what he can to keep this foundation going. And that's why a lot of people come here and say, this is where I want to live. During the days of the air base, that's why many people said, I want to come back and retire here. This is one of the nicest people or places on the face of the earth. So, we are where we are. Let's talk a little bit about the actual facilities, and then maybe we can look at some of the things here. What have we got for facilities?
We have our new Art, Science, and Technology Center which we spoke earlier. We also have our new Health and Physical Education Center, and that was built maybe 10 years ago or so, approximately.
Wow. Is
Yes,
that possible,
I know.
Calvin?
believe, isn't it?
It seems like last Tuesday we dedicated that place.
And of course, the building in which we are talking today, the former Hotel Champlain, a big building, houses classrooms, houses offices, a cafeteria, bookstore, just a whole range of facilities. So those are our 3 main. We also have some athletic fields. We do have some sports programs. Parking lots, of course, very important for your viewers to know. We have
Getting
parking.
better and better, aren't they, Eileen? We remember the days, don't we?
Parking is no longer a problem at Clinton Community College. I remember 10 years ago, it was such a serious issue up here because parking was such a terrible commodity, but it's wonderful now.
And the
there's so many-
cafeteria is
Yeah.
so
You
nice.
mentioned sports. Let me go back to sports for a minute. The nice thing about Clinton Community College with sports is when a student goes to a college, it's very difficult to get onto a team because there's so much competition. You come to Clinton Community College, you can play sports. I mean, we can't get enough people to get involved in sports. It's wonderful. And you talk to the students who play sports here, and they're supportive, and the faculty helps them out. They make sure that they keep the grades to keep up with their scholars. We have a really good, and I believe we had a really good basketball team last year that did really well. I don't know all the numbers, but we'll have to check with Todd Rowenbeck on that. But we've got some. I believe Calvin's got a daughter that's a basketball player.
Yes, she sure is, and a great basketball player.
Come to Clinton Community College and play.
All of our kids want to go to Division I colleges somewhere, and you know, I've been down Having raised 13 kids, have been down many roads with kids who have visions, and some made it in Division One, and some didn't. There's a lot of heartbreak there when you go from a small town and you're the best in your community, or you're the best in your league, you're the best in your division, and then you go to a Division One school, and boy, do you have to battle. We got kids here going to Syracuse University who just blew the competition away in this area, and now they're waiting. And other schools too, so your point is extremely well taken. And there's something for everybody. I saw some massive tennis going on, a lot of sweating when I drove up into the parking lot here. So the place has changed immensely over the years, all for the better, but nothing is taken away from the beauty of the campus, and everything that's done blends in.
We also talk about the beauty of the campus. One of the cottages is used for a child care center, so we certainly want that to be known, that we have the children over there.
I was
and
there when that
they
first
have a
opened,
play
too.
area.
A lot of
Yes.
milestones.
Oh, it's very close to the new tech building, so we're very proud of our program there and our work with the young children in that facility. So that's another reason why we try to make it easy and possible for folks to be a student here and to have their other needs met as well. So.
Well, you've only been underway for a few days this semester, but is it relatively smooth?
Oh, everything is going along quite well. We have the students in classes. After the first week or so, we get students who are maybe moving around and trying to rearrange their schedule. But we're off to a strong start. We have the faculty in place, the students in place. We still have people parking in no parking zones, but we cut them a little slack the first week. After that, we get tough. But other than that, we're off to a good start.
We got more students than last year, Eileen?
I think we're about the same as last year. I think we have a little bit more part-time this year, or full-time traditional students this year, which means a younger student is coming in.
Yeah, you can design your course of study here so much better than you can on some other campuses. You can take a few, or you can take a full load. You can do whatever, and you have people who can advise you in that direction. As you mentioned before, a lot of starting is getting over that initial fear of taking the step. And most of us do not set our sights high enough. But do it. I said it before, do it.
I can't tell you how many, I hate to say the word older, but it's all relative. How many,
God, I hope so.
so they're younger than me, but how many single parents we see in this school. And it's so wonderful to see them graduate. I've seen 5 classes graduate now, and it's so exciting to see them. They drop their kids off at the child care, and they get through their studies, and they've got a real career when they finish. And it really changes lives, and it's so nice to see. So nice to see. And not just women, but I see men that are your age, my age, and much older, even in classes, and it's really wonderful.
Don't you love it when they do finish and they come back and say thank you?
Yes.
They do it for me. Thank you for mentioning Clinton Community College. Wow.
Our registrar, George Schnaub, who perhaps many of your viewers know.
Yes, we know George. We stood by his piano and sung many, many songs.
On a regular basis, he'll bring by my office alumni for me to meet who come by, sometimes not to register or even there for their children's purposes, but they come by to say hello to George and say hi and see how things are going, and he'll bring them by so I can meet them. A full range, senior citizens who seem to love our classes, and some of the folks who are leaving to go off to other major cities for employment opportunities. So there's a full range of folks who come through the doors, and that's nothing short of exciting.
I mean, we're talking about rich history. Clinton Community College was associated with the RSVP program for a long time, which George has always played at every function they've ever had since he was a teenager. And so, most people in this county are at least familiar with this campus, but by the time we finish with this program, maybe we can fill in some of the blanks, right?
Well, we have a workforce development center at Park, not to be forgotten, and we teach computer workshops and business and professional seminars. We hold seminars over in that facility
That
too.
was kind of a coup too, wasn't
Yes,
it?
it was, and it's really working out well. And
And I think we should also mention, talking about off-site offerings, I really believe that the college should be in the community as much as where it is located physically. So in cases where the outlying parts of the county have students who would like to take a class from us, if we can get a group of students in the north part of the county, we can arrange to have classes offered other places. I can tell from driving around the county in the wintertime, it might be a little tricky to come and go as you please, although they told me the winters are very mild. It never snows, no ice.
Tough up here.
But if there are,
I gotta get it in four-wheel drive.
there you go. Get out my cross-country skis. But certainly, I'd like for us to do more of that, to offer classes out where it's easier for folks to get to.
For a lot of its history, we had graduating classes inside the walls at Clinton at the Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora, right?
Absolutely. The IHEP program, it's an incredible program. And like you said, education is knowledge, and knowledge is power, and it helps people to overcome all kinds of obstacles.
Well, you're a perfect example. If I might just pat you on the back for a moment. You have such a charming way with words, and this brings me to my favorite word, and that's communication. And in this day and age, if we don't have some communication skills, we cannot make our way. We can't fill out forms. We can't do job interviews. And this is a good place to learn how to communicate, we're doing around
yes,
this
it's a
table.
very comfortable place. Here you can.
And if you saw a little blip on your screen, is because Calvin communicated to me with several facial and hand motions that the battery was going dead. So now we got a new battery in and we're going again. And yes, communication is an important word.
It is, whether you are talking about speaking or writing or even listening. People forget that listening is part of communication, and if you can listen effectively, you can hear what the person is saying, not what you think the person is saying. But certainly in terms of public speaking skills, even if you want to go to your city council and make a point on behalf of an issue that concerns you, a basic class in public speaking would help you do that with more confidence. So many folks are afraid to speak in front of a group.
You're making me laugh because I read a true survey that was done recently asking people what their two greatest fears are. Number one was dying young, and number two was getting up in front of an audience and giving a speech. And the average person, that scares them to death.
And I think that's where a small class of 20 students rather than a big lecture of some sort really helps our students, because if you're going to make your mistakes, make them in the classroom. You're here to learn. Everyone is learning. You have a professor who cares about helping you do well, but that's where you try out and get comfortable in front of a group. So much has to do with organization, getting your thoughts organized, what you want to say, and then practicing saying it. But to have some professor give you some helpful hints and to let you practice a little bit so that when you go up to city council or just talk to a small group at your children's school, you'll be able to do it without as much anxiety.
Yeah, it's true. You can have a greater part in what happens in your life. Instead of, you living in your own little world and not participating, you can speak up. I just put in mind they're talking about putting in a new water district or enhancing the water district in the town of Scholar Falls where I lived. A group of about 100 people there, and I'm an observer. I'd love to look around and see who speaks up and what they have to say. And it's the people who speak up who get the job done. How did you get interested in this aspect of your life? Because you communicate so well.
How did I?
How
Well,
did you
I think because I was an artist, and artists performing, creating art is a form of communication. And it's funny, I used to think of myself as shy, and I don't think I'm shy. I don't think I'm shy anymore. But I got into advertising through the art. I got my degree in fine art, and then I got into advertising to make money because the starving artist story is true. Next thing you know, I'm doing public relations.
Did you take speech courses at Plattsburgh?
No.
Isn't
Never
that
did.
amazing?
But it's interesting, when I was in high school, I went out for public speaking in high school, so I think I have this little natural flair.
You certainly do. Yeah. Some things are...
I think the secret is to remember that everybody's afraid to speak, no matter how often you do it, and the more you do it, the easier it gets, and you just realize that everybody would love to be able to get up and be as comfortable as you are in front of behind the microphone, and the more you do it, the more you realize it's not that difficult, and just to try to speak slowly and enunciate, and it's not that hard.
We talked about self-esteem before, and all these single mothers who come to school and people who just have been beaten and battered in a figurative and in a real sense throughout their lives, to get those communication skills, be able to stand up for what they believe in, and to go when they apply for assistance, or when they want to go and speak in front of a group, and to be able to do it.
We have a lot of programs at the college that help women in this situation, not only women, but older people coming back to school. We have a mentor program that really helps them, that where other students can talk about their difficulties going back to school and how they solved them. There's people that they can talk to. Do you know that 85% of our students here are on some kind of financial aid? And you really, if you have any questions at all about coming back to school, first of all, don't be afraid to call us. We're easy to talk to, number one. Number two, we're our professionals here that can talk to you about a career, if you about money, if you need money, the things that are available. But also, if you're undecided about what you want to do, if you want to come back to school and you don't know what you want, you can come and sit and talk to a professional and really get some good direction. And that's all available. That's free of charge to you. We're here for the community.
You know, sometimes when the carousel goes by, you have to grab for the ring.
You do. You have to say, well, I have something to offer, and I'd like to find ways I can contribute and how I can put myself forward. Certainly you have you don't have anything less in terms of contributions than the person next to you. At times we probably think that what we have is not what we need, but often that just comes from not really trying things out and experiencing it, and it all begins with the first effort. And certainly everybody can tell you stories where things didn't go as well. It's not that everyone else has had only success in their life and you haven't. It's usually the opposite, that everyone in that classroom has a story about obstacles that they faced to get there, whether you're a single parent raising 3 children and going to school and getting A's. It may look like it's easy for you, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes.
It sounds like you're very satisfied with your career.
I am delighted to be here and with my career. I've spent 25 years in higher education, in 2-year schools and 4-year colleges. I've taught, I've worked in academics, I've worked in student services areas in a couple of states, and I must say that I find nothing better. I'm involved with people who are paid to think, which are our faculty, so they keep your mind going and always give you opportunity for spirited discussion, shall we say. And then you have students, and each one of them I see such potential. I was a working class kid. My parents didn't graduate from college, so I see myself in some ways reflected in them, and I know the potential is there. I know there are folks out there like Eileen Collins, who was the shuttle commander just recently, was a community college graduate. But yes, through comment, I am so pleased to be doing work that I love, because to get up and want to go to work in the morning, I think, is a true blessing in life. And certainly I'm pleased to be doing it here. This is almost too ideal. So it's like I've won the lottery, even though I haven't. But in a sense, I guess I have.
Stay with us for a long time, will you?
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you to say that. I appreciate
Thank you for
that.
being with us today. We're going to continue our look at Clinton Community College. You know the next segment of the program was going to be out on the bluff because it's so beautiful back here. We're going to talk about admissions and who knows what else. Bob Wood, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm just terrific, but you knew that anyway before we got here. Well, what's it like this year so far?
It's a really great year. We've got lots of new things going on here. We've admitted a group of new international students that has added a whole new flavor. Well, we have hooked up with a college in Japan, Human International University. We worked also with Plattsburgh State in their international students office, and we have a group of 6 students from that university who are exchanged here to our college for the year and maybe for a degree. So we're really excited about that.
An opportunity for all of us
Oh
to
yeah,
have that
no,
happen. Cultural
it's wonderful.
exchange, right?
It is. One of the young men is here is an expert soccer player, and he's Todd Rowenbeck, our director of admissions, has asked us to go over to Japan and bring back more. He's very
Be nice to these kids, right?
Not our director of admissions. That's me. It's
Yeah,
Todd's our director
know
of
who you
athletics.
are, Bob.
Yeah, that's sorry.
But anyway, how long have you been here?
How long have I been here? Since
Yeah.
1971.
Is that possible?
No.
1971.
Yes, I had hair.
I had hair too. We don't have to get into that aspect of it. Really, I hadn't realized it was that long.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 1971. November of 71 was my first time here, and I don't even want to go into it.
Did you start in admissions or?
No. Most of my tenure here has been in counseling, in human services counseling, working with students for personal counseling and academic counseling.
Where were you originally from? I don't think I ever knew that.
I'm originally from the Albany area. I'm originally from Waterville, New York.
We know very well where that is.
But I've lived here most of my life. This is where
Me too,
I've
you know.
been here since 1967. So really,
I beat you by 6 years.
yeah. So I'm really more of a hometown person now than from Waterville. That's
Well, you
where I
know,
grew
this
up.
is Hometown Cable, and this is a hometown place.
Oh, yeah,
We spent a
yeah.
lot of time during the course of our discussions today talking about how a campus this size is so neat for the people who go here and the people who work here.
Well, I believe this is the community's college. I mean, you know, there is Plattsburgh State, and that is certainly the larger, our big sister, but this is the community's college. This is the college that it was built for, designed for. Everything we do here is community focused. I mean, when we create a new program, it's because we went into the community, we asked them what they needed, what they wanted, what would be best for them, and that's what generates what we do. So I've always felt this is Clinton County's community college. I mean, we've never used the word county, but that's what we are. So first and foremost, we may go to Japan or we may go downstate or any other place, but what generates what we do here is for the county and for the local North Country population. So.
And the lion's share of the people who attend school here are residents of Clinton County.
Definitely. By far, the vast majority are people who are from Clinton County, and then Clinton, Essex, Franklin. There's shaded borders there, so we don't know. But the vast majority are Clinton County. That's where our main feeder, the local high schools, are the people where our students come from, and adults in the community who are coming back for
We've mentioned that
re-education.
before. It's great to walk into a class of 20 people and see 5 of the people over the age of 40. I love it.
Well, we have our industrial technology program. If you went and looked at those classes, you would find mostly older gentlemen like ourselves. Many of them are people who were at Imperial. And when that closed down, they went through JTPA and other agencies and decided that they were going to come back to school. And I think those gentlemen deserve all the praise in the world, because they, after many years of working in one job, have come back and turned themselves into college students. So when you see them walking down the halls with their sandals and their shorts, and they interact with everybody else, and that's another thing about this college. We're small, and students, whether you're 18 or 80, you get along, and there's never been a problem here. And
It's amazing. When I started my last 4 years of college, I was at the ripe old age of about 21. I'd gone to a couple colleges and floundered terribly.
Right.
And then they started a new math and science school on Long Island, and they called it the State University of New York Long Island Center. And I was in that first graduating class in 1961, and that's now called Stony Brook.
Mhm.
But it was an intimate campus, and it reminds me so much of this because it was on a beautiful estate called Planting Field between Oyster Bay and Glen Cove. It has since moved, and it is an amazing, huge campus, and I don't know, maybe 30,000 students now. But that's the kind of education that people get here at Clinton Community College, and I revere the memories of those very small class sizes. And at bigger schools, I've been with 500 people in lecture halls, and You get lost in the shuffle.
Oh, you do. Yeah, and the one thing we hear from our students is, and especially new students who come in, transfer students from other colleges, larger colleges, they will say to us, "We've never been treated like this before. We were treated."
Love it? Don't you love
right,
it?
and I do love that. I mean, that is what admissions wants to hear. They talk about how they are really treated like an individual. They're what they think is really taken into consideration, whether it's choosing a class or if they have a problem in a class or trying to get some type of service. Because we're so small, easily you just flow. It's seamless, the services. If I have to go to somebody else's office, I can walk right in and we can get it settled, and you don't have to
take a golf cart to the other side.
No, you don't have
of
to
the
do
campus.
that at all. No. In fact, we have one here, and we all kind of laughed when we saw it. Because I think maintenance uses it, and it was kind of like, what do we need that for? but we're getting bigger, though. I mean, when I say that, we have the main building here, which has had an addition put onto it, and we have the new art, science, and technology building, and the gym. And it used to be that I could tour somebody around this building in a half an hour, and they're mad at me in my office now because it takes me almost 2 hours to do a tour. If you really want to do a good, thorough tour, it takes at least 2 hours to hit every floor.
And as I said with Eileen before, there's so much to talk about.
Oh, the history.
It's easy to pitch a place like this.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what?
The history. I mean, we were looking at Crab Island and Valcour Island earlier, and I mean, you could just go on about Crab Island and you could go on about the Revolutionary Wars and Benedict Arnold, and you can go on and on and on. And people really enjoy that, though. When they come, they get a sense of community here. They get a sense that there's more than just a college. It's a historic place. And
I love to tell people that there were once trolley tracks that came right out here from the city.
Or there was a train, when you talk about the hotel, about having its own train station and having its own dock, and we have pictures of postcards from the hotel days that showed the boardwalk down on the beach, and people look at it and they go, wow, they just can't believe it. And when you tell them, McKinley, about McKinley being here, and it really brings it to life, and it makes it more than just a college.
It's a power-packed place in so many ways. Eileen, something you mentioned just before we left speaking with our illustrious new president, and you were talking about payback and how recent studies have been shown that for every dollar, how does that go? Every dollar that is spent.
Every dollar that the Clinton County Legislature puts into the college, Clinton Community College puts $5 back into the community. We just finished a 1998 economic impact study, and those were the results. And I just think that's a great investment. You can't go wrong.
We've talked about investments in a personal way for the people who get their educations here or who start their educations here. But now you're talking bottom line. You're talking dollars and cents, and everybody's ears say $5 return for every dollar spent. That's not a bad deal,
no,
Robert.
Every student who decides to stay here, a lot of people don't know some of the financial parts of it, but Clinton County, it's good business to have this community college here, because if students had to go elsewhere, then the county would have to pay a charge back to the county that they go to. So it's a major savings by having a community college that your students can access right here in their own backyard, and to have a really good community college, and I mean that. This is a really good. We have a really excellent faculty. We've got great programs. Again, we're student oriented, so if a student wants an atmosphere where they can feel like they're part of a family and also go through a good learning experience, and this is the best place for them.
The best part of it is I didn't have to call up this morning and say, Bob, when we get there, and turn the camera on, talk it up, will you? Because, this is the way, we've mentioned the word passion before. This is the way people feel.
Well, I've dedicated my whole professional life to being here, so I've loved all the students I've had over the years, be it young or old. I've learned a lot from them. Hopefully they've learned something from me, it's really been a labor of love for me for all these years. I've really enjoyed it. So
a lot of our lives are labors of love. We got into this business knowing that we weren't
going to get rich.
make our first million or any small part of it in our lifetimes here, but it's been worth it. I know, you and I were talking about your tenure here, and I didn't realize it was this long, and I certainly didn't know that Bob had been here for that long, but the changes have been wonderful, and you do, when you give something, you get it back, and obviously you've been enriched by your experience tremendously.
Well, it was not, when I came here, I mean, we weren't even using above the second floor, and
that's something.
and
too.
I can remember going up to the fourth when they opened up the floors, and just for us to go up and look, and of course Bellarmine College had been here, so many of the rooms had been turned into little chapels, and the kneelers were all in there. It was very. In fact, for years, Tom Pearl, who was our original director of admissions, had an old kneeler in his office, and we used to joke with him that people had to come in and pray to him to get in. But he. And I can remember when I came up, there were a lot of religious statuary. In fact, right over here, right behind us, the staircase was still there that led down to the beach, and we used to be able to go down and do that. Yeah, it was very nice. I mean, we knew we didn't own beyond the wall, but there was nobody down there at the time, so we used to go down and use the beach. Clark Herdick, who's been here for many, many years, he was here. We joke he moved the furniture into the building, and he used to have a polar bear club, and we used to go down. And
they still do. And
they
I
still do
believe
have the polar
Agnes
bear club.
Pearl, our Vice President for Academic Affairs, actually is still an active member of this Polar Bear Club.
I should have known. I know a lot of things about Agnes. I didn't know that, but I'm not in the least. I'm not in the least bit surprised by that.
No, but it's a great place, and like I said, for somebody like me who's been here all these years, to watch it grow and watch it develop and expand and see new faculty come in and sadly watch some faculty retire and go. But knowing that it's been a good experience, and like I said, I think that I'm just one person here, but I think that just goes on to our students, and they feel that people really, it's a place where people enjoy being, and we try to help students learn and reach the goals that they want to reach. I mean, a lot of students come with us. Some of them want careers. They want to get right out and work. Some of them want to go on and get a bachelor's degree or more. And so we're here to help with either of those, whatever.
And it's great, as I said so many times today, to see the alumni come back and never forget this place. They come back and they almost bow when they drive.
Oh, they revere. I know.
They feel a part of it.
Very much a part of it.
We had a student satisfaction survey with all the community colleges in the state, and Clinton Community College came out number one overall, and all the questions that were asked.
I didn't know that. It doesn't surprise me, but I love to tell people about it.
And how many community colleges are there in the
There
state?
were 30. We are one of 30 SUNY community colleges. We're part of the State University of New York, and we're one of the 30 SUNY community colleges.
Nice.
And of
What
course,
a
our
nice
nursing
accolade.
program.
nursing.
Not to forget our nursing program. We have one of the top nursing programs in the entire Northeast, and we always track the scores on the passing percentages on the exam that both the 2-year schools and the 4-year nursing programs take, and our students were I believe second in the entire state of all the 2- and 4-year schools.
Right. The only school that beat us, so the 4-year schools. We were number one.
Horns out.
No, we were number one of the community colleges. We were
Number one out of
number
all
one for the
communities.
students passing the licensing board. We were number 2 of the 2- and 4-year schools, and the only school that beat us was SUNY Binghamton. And you got to have some pretty
By
high
4/10 of a point.
Yeah, they didn't beat us by
Let's go
much,
back. I want to recount.
Didn't beat us by much, but again, that's been one of our great programs over the years is nursing, and not a hard program to sell. People want to get into that program.
Interestingly enough, I made some promises when I started this program. First of all, I should tell people I mentioned the wrong date. It's 9/9/99
that's right.
today.
I know.
Isn't that when all our computers were supposed to crash?
Ours are still working.
I'm going to crank up my old 286 when I get home just to see if it's smoking.
I know. I signed a memo and I thought, oh my God, it's 9/9/99.
9/9/99. It's not the 10th. It's $99.99. I promised people that we would take an extensive tour of the campus and look inside all the buildings. But guess what? I didn't want to tell the whole story today. I wanted to pique your curiosity. And if you have any interest at all in coming up just to visit this campus for old time's sake, for history's sake, or maybe to sign up for a few classes in the fall, come on up here. And maybe we'll do a part 2 sometime with Calvin's permission and if the creek doesn't rise.
One other thing too, we've done for the local community certainly is we have for many years we used the State University application, which was a $30 fee to do that. And this past spring we created our own Clinton Community College application that is free.
Oh, wow.
So if you are a local person, you no longer have to pay an application fee through the state of New York. You can come and there's a free application. Just give us a call or stop in and
never
invite you.
It's amazing.
That was something we tried to do. We felt we should be doing for at least for Clinton and for our students.
That's wonderful. That's something great. I want to thank you both for being wonderful spokespeople for this campus. It's always a kick. If people can't tell, it's a kick for me to be here of all the times I've been here. And as you were talking, I'm just doing a replay in my mind of all the actually momentous occasions I've had, and some of them didn't necessarily involve dignitaries. Some of them involved driving up here on a Sunday afternoon on a beautiful day in the fall or the middle of summer and just standing here with my wife holding hands and looking out over this lake and then looking back here. And,
I think I have a picture of you doing that, Gordy.
Oh. As long as I didn't take a flying leap and look for the stairs. But thank you both for a great time today, and an invitation I know is out for anybody in the North Country who'd like to come forward and just stop in and say hello, right?
Yep, come on up.
Let me do it just for good old time's sake. You belong here. You really belong here.
You got Jerry Springer, eat your heart out. And we have a video that you're going to give us that takes about 30 minutes to run to cap off this entire program. And before we end, might I say, who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner